All right, Wednesday means Owasso football. I'm even wearing some Owasso red right here as they had really kind of an easy win against UConn, 45-7. And let's just begin with that. I mean, you want your team to come off a bye week playing the right way, playing sharp, and then you want to go win a game you think you should the way you think you should. It seems you did. Is that accurate?
I think so, Rick. What the game was really a complete game for us, offensively, defensively, special teams, all of that. But we still had to grind in the first half, and that's important as well. You know, Brent Barnes, the coach over at UConn, does a great job, and they
Yes.
had gotten in the playoffs, and they were hot, and they were. He came loaded for bear. I mean, we had to defend two or three, very unique, what some people call gadget plays.
Mhm.
They got down the field, and the best thing we did defensively is we just got guys on the ground, even though they got away from us and got a big out of the end zone once they got down. And then because we had had to punt on the first drive, and then after that, we were able to get rolling on offense and played a really good defensive ball game. We had multiple turnovers, wound up with four interceptions. Carter Langendorfer had uh, two almost for one pick six and one that got to the 2 yard line. That was the length of the field. Got called back on penalty, but it was still a big time play. Julian Carson, a sophomore, picked one off and went to the house for it also. And then uh, Cole Campbell got just a good coverage pick. So four turnovers by our defense and just harassing their quarterback the whole game. And then Jay Hall kind of very quietly goes about. You just see this kind of methodical approach, and then you look down the stat sheet and there's 170 something yards.
Yeah.
And, that's just what he does. Julius Wilson, another big night for us, starting off and got us in the end zone a couple of times. Tay Bethel does what Tay does, and again, multiple touchdowns. So it was just kind of across the board, really a good performance for us moving into the semis.
We talked about Julius Wilson just a little, but for those who haven't seen him, describe him as a player.
Well, he's really what you think of when you think about a SEC outside receiver. He's a 6'4", just a beautiful proportioned body in terms of length and speed. Has been a later developer as a wide receiver. He's a multi-sport guy. He's a great basketball player, but he's become just a big physical speed target, which is very unusual, and that's why recently he had gotten offered and committed to Oklahoma State, and I think people are going to, be really amazed how they might have gotten one that is I believe is so ready to play at the next level.
He reminds me when seeing him play, and this is kind of apples to oranges, when Karis Garrett led the nation in
Yes,
receiving for Tulsa, except I think Julius is a little more fluid. He's got a little more gazelle in him, if you will.
yes, I agree. And it's what I remember college or pro scouts coming in to look at Kieras, and one of the things they said to me that has stuck is when big players play big, and sometimes they can be big dimensionally, but
Hmm.
they don't play big and
Yep.
physical. And I will say that that's what Julius has continued to do is he has played like an imposing physical body that he has on some of these defenders, and that's why I think it'll translate really well next level.
And then, of course, Drew Frankenfield, again, his normal self, he's completing around 73%. Between he and Hall, you've got almost 300 and something yards. We have 300 and something yards worth of
Yeah.
offense. So stars are stars once again. Who is not the normal star that we mentioned popped up and played well offensively? It seems like your offensive line must have.
Well, and that's what I would brag on. If you go back to week one, two, three, the unknown factor for the Owasso Rams offensively was going to be the offensive line and the youthfulness that we had there. And then we were also playing a couple of lesser experienced players this week, even more so. And for them to be as solid and physical, it may have been as good a weekly performance as we've had. But the O line is continuing to really be solid. I think one that people here weren't quite ready for is a guy named Daryl Green that we call Chop. He's been nicknamed that for a long time, but Chop is just amazing at being able to pull and contact people and sort linebackers out. And so we moved him back in the backfield to give him a little of that fullback kind of action,
Right.
and he showed up really well. And so that'll be part of our package as we keep moving forward.
How did Chop get the nickname?
Well, supposedly it was something about a pork chop and just that he did, they couldn't take it away from him or something. But I think Grandma tagged him pretty early.
All right. Well, I can tell you, I'll fight him for the pork chop, and
There
we'll
you
we'll
go.
take that one from there. We're going to talk about what's coming up for him in a moment. I want to remind you, Bill, brought to you by Tulsa Accident Care Center. I've mentioned this before. Now we're at the holidays. If you're anywhere near any shopping area, and of course Friday being Black Friday, you got to be careful out there. If you happen to have an unfortunate auto accident, take your car somewhere. That's fine, but take your body to Tulsa Accident Care Center. I mean, your body, because that's where Jared Gallagher has put together everything you need in one building. No more of this going all over the place to try to get your care. You go to your doctor who sends you for imaging, who sends you for blood work, who sends you for PT. You do all that in one space at Tulsa Accident Care Center. And they're in Tulsa, Owasso, and Broken Arrow. So you don't even have to go that far to do it. So while many people may have to drive all over the world, you don't. And all you have to do is walk in. No out of pocket cost, no appointment necessary. And we certainly don't want you to have a car wreck. But if you do, if you have an accident, take your body to Tulsa Accident Care Center and let them do everything for you in one place. And I'm talking doctors, prescriptions, you name it, it's all there. That's a big deal, especially being able to find imaging in one place like that. But they do it all in one space. All right, we're going to talk about what's coming up against a team that you are pretty familiar with. And Jinx, it's not that you haven't had a battle or two with them through your career. They have, much like your team and much like Broken Arrow, and I think everybody gets better as the season goes along. I've really seen some mature, and they have, kind of like you, some really big time players. And I got to start, of course, with Caden Jones. How in the world do you even slow that cat?
Well, I don't know, Rick. We're going to get after it. We've fortunately and unfortunately seen him three, four games.
Yep.
Sometimes we have better luck with him than others. Um, the big thing is he is an elite running back. We all know that. He catches the ball out of the backfield as a receiver. We've got to always know where he is. They do a nice job of moving him around in the formations and utilizing him in a lot of different ways. So communication is a big part of what we've got is again identifying where is he, why do they put him in out here, or why is he in the backfield? Is he taking the direct snap? Are they handing it to him? Because all of those things tend to take us in a different direction in terms of what to expect them to do. The simple answer is we have to gang up on him. I mean, we've got to do a good job of getting multiple hats around him before he gets going. That's a whole lot easier said than done
Yeah.
because those guys are really good coaches and they got really good receivers and they got a quarterback that knows how to distribute the ball. And so we've got to play sound, but be able to react quickly to what they're going to give us.
With some again, what they do offensively, because the Dillard kids and some of those other guys, they can do what you guys can do, which is pick
Yeah,
your poison kind of a thing.
right.
As a coach, how do you go about doing that? I mean, do you even go talk to your defensive staff and ask them? I mean, do we even go 1, 2, 3, how we do this? Or is it
Yeah.
formationally based? Is it specific based? How do you do it?
Well, you have to try to pick and choose your moments. Um, as a philosophy, we're going to do our best to stop the run. I mean, we have to stop. You have to begin somewhere on a defense, and that's how we're built. But we also don't want to just open up the floodgates and go out and play man coverage all the time and give them an opportunity to just throw the ball at will. So we've got to pick our opportunities of how we get that extra hat into the box. Um, if we feel like we're in some past situations, be able to make sure we're getting help. And so it begins, it is what people love about football. Turns into a fun little chess match
Yep.
between the offensive coaches and the defensive coaches, and one trying to anticipate what's the other one going to do. And that's one of the reasons that I've stayed in this game so long is I love that piece of it.
Yep.
But it's also why, we have a lot more gray hair or no hair as coaches, but the fans ought to love it because it's going to be one of those. I think on both sides of the ball, both of us have the ability to run the ball and throw the ball, and both of us have premier playmakers, and both of us have defenses that have played really well. So it's going to be strength against strength, and but shouldn't it be in the semifinals?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this one to me has got all the makings of being a fantastic game in every way. I'm wondering, you've been around Coach Neal so long defensively. Does he ever walk in the office with you when you're facing an offense like this and say, hey, if you were them, what would you try to do to me and how would I defend it? Does that happen?
Yeah, yes, we have those conversations. A lot of times I'm the one that initiates it, because I'll go in and I'll say, well, just so you know, if this was me, this is what I'd be looking at. And he's like, oh, okay, and so and then he'll ask questions or vice versa. But we do it the other way too. And we go to him and say, you see our offense every day. How do you think Coach Gaylor and those guys are gonna try to get after it? But we both have so much on our plate. I'm talking about offense and defense that you don't spend a whole lot of time trying to help the other guy, other than just when we can, because we got plenty to do just to get after the side of ball that we got.
As a quarterback coach, when I ask you about Landon Kazar, their quarterback, he's a guy that has grown really a lot. I see a little bit of what Drew did, and the same thing is the way Drew grew. Although Drew kind of burst on the scene because he had that great
Mhm.
offensive line and all those people around him. And you've seen Kazar just continually improve. When you look at him, what do you see?
Well, I think and Rick, this is probably for people like you and me that have been at this a long time, but I see him as that prototype Jinx quarterback, a guy that has managed the game extremely well. And that is not in any way a knock on a quarterback. If you're a
Mhm.
good game manager, that means you know where to take the ball. You understand the offense. And then I think he's benefited from the creativity that I think the OC and Coach Gaylor's staff have done. They've begun to open up the offense since early in the season, and they're spreading it out, and they're giving you some different formations and kind of you know for lack of a better term, a little bit of the Bigsby model of trying to not just be stagnant on offense and let you just tune in on it. So I think he is the really a very excellent quarterback in that system for what they want to do to take care of a great running back, and then they've got receivers that can make plays if he gets it to them, and he's been really good about doing that.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who takes the words game manager about a quarterback and says that's not good, you're wrong. Those are two words
Agreed.
for winning. That's what
Agreed.
those guys do. I mean, I've said it before. It's how Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl. He just
Yep.
did what he needed to do, and that's just the way quarterbacks can be. All right, a couple things before we go. Number one, playing at a smaller venue like this. I mean, it's a field, and it would be nice to have more people there. I understand that, but it's a field. Does it matter to you at all?
Probably not in and of this of itself. Once the game starts, we're just going to be, I think, packed in with the kind of people that are going to be there, and
Yeah.
that will create an absolute amazing environment.
Yep.
I'm still one of the guys that enjoyed playing in those smaller venues just because, that's kind of high school football, people hanging over the fence and,
Yep.
just packed around. And, I'm a little surprised that we don't have cars pulled up to the fence
Yes.
like we used to back in the day. But this will be great. Catoosa has a very nice facility for their size school, and I think people will be a little surprised at how nice it is. It'll have a little more room to the field because of the track around it, so we won't feel quite as crowded down there. But I do think the folks that are going to have to get there to have seats,
Yes.
and it ought to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, anybody who goes to the early game, the 1 o'clock game, will just head to the casino for an hour or two, and they'll just come
Right,
right on back and get
right,
into
yeah,
yours, and maybe who knows, buy an even better seat. Who
yeah.
knows? But you better get there earlier. if you had to lay out two or three things, and certainly turnovers, ball security are always there. What are some of the keys against this Jinx team?
I think for us is really limiting, and I say limit, not take away, because I don't think we can completely take away what KD and their offense does, but I think we got to limit the big plays for touchdowns. We got to do a good job of just getting them on the ground and making them snap the ball again. We've got to conversely come up with some chunk plays to get things going. So I think it'll be a battle of big plays and a battle of turnovers.
Okay. And then before we go, we have to kind of address what was in the Tulsa world. There's been some incidents at Owasso. I know there are things you cannot say, and I'm not going to ask you to say things you can't, but what can you say about what's gone on?
Well, unfortunately, sometimes young men do not live up to the standards that we have for them, both in our program and in our school. Um, we had a couple of young men that fell into that category. Some stuff that went on. They were football players, and then one of the key words there is were, because by their actions they chose to not be a part of this anymore, and that's unfortunate because it has nothing to do with whether they were good or not. Good players can make bad decisions. So unfortunately for us, those guys are not in our program anymore.
And I guess the only other thing about that, because their minors involved, their names you can't be said,
Yeah.
and all that. How do you keep it from being a distraction for your guys? Is the bigger question, I think.
Well, the unfortunate thing for us and fortunate is that this was actually 2 weeks ago. We've already had one full week and a game where we had to have those get past all of that for us as a team. It's unfortunate that we, want to have some clickbait, and some sensational headlines and all that to get everybody else talking about it. We've already, as a team, dealt with it. The school is still dealing with some of the fallout and some of the investigation and all that, and I understand all that. So we're going to just do what we try to do. There's It'll come as a little bit of a surprise to some fans, but there are usually, and I don't want to put it in the same category, but we're dealing with stuff all the time, whether it be injuries or suspensions or kids that are ineligible academically.
Yeah.
And we just don't put that in the paper. And so we're always having to deal with those distractions and deal with those uh, adversity situations that come up. So our kids and coaches will move on and we'll continue down that path and hopefully not let it distract us from the job at hand.
Yeah, you coach long enough, you're around long enough. This kind of thing is going to have to be dealt with. You just have to do the best you can. Well, I'll
And
tell you this.
the key is deal with it. Nobody's
Mhm.
trying to hide from it. Nobody's
Yep.
trying to do anything. We deal with it, move on. And unfortunately, we can't, nor do we really want to talk about it.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is there were 48 minutes of football to be played,
Yep.
and that's going to be fun. It's going to be a great day. A couple of games out there on Friday, and I can't wait. I just think it's going to be an awful lot of fun. Keep everybody healthy. Good luck, and we'll visit again.
Thank you, brother.